Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those who are not familiar with the channel or possibly watching this for the first time, the reason why it's called Uncommon Sense, because here we discuss everyday problems and we try to find solutions. But not everyone uses logic. So, for that reason, it is called uncommon sense. Right now, we're currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope on Twitter. I know that most of you are going to be watching this video in the playback, which is perfectly fine. I do appreciate all those who have subscribed to my channel. I'm going to encourage everyone, if you like my content, to please subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do go live, you'll have the option of either catching it live or catching it on the playback. Now, the topic for tonight's episode is the myths regarding the baby boomers. Now, this is going to be a short video. I'm going to try to keep it around 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending how it goes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share some information. Just give me a moment. Okay, oops, I'm sorry. Just give me a moment. Okay. I'm just going to try to share my screen. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to read it because it seems like the Wi-Fi again is acting up. What I'm going to be discussing is an article which I came across on Psychology Today, and it's called 10 Misconceptions About Baby Boomers. So let's go ahead. Okay. So, number one, baby boomers start giving some of their money away. Another criticism dating back to the 1980s, but today the generation donates the most childhood dollars in the United States. Boomers currently contribute 43% of all donations, according to the consulting firm Richworks, with 72% of the generation donating an average of $1,212 in annual mortality over the next 2 or 3 decades. Number two, boomers are self-centered. Baby boomers were labeled the me generation in the mid decade of the 1970s, and the label stuck. Today, millions of boomers are serving as mentors, teachers, and volunteers, demonstrating that they are eager to give time and energy to worthy causes. 26% of boomers volunteer, according to a 2018 study published by Up, and people volunteer abroad, close behind being Generation X rate up 29% and ahead of millennials 22%. Now, isn't that interesting? Okay. Number three, boomers ruined the environment. In the 1960s and 70s, baby boomers led what was called the equality movement in order to address air pollution. Strong's commitment to the environment to environmental causes continue to this day. In an article published in a 2019 issue of Electric Green Journal, author Scott Squires wrote that based on his study, with 1,215 participants across 3 generations, baby boomers were the most environmentally friendly generation. Interesting. Number four, boomers are cognitively impaired. Many believe that older brains are withering away, but isn't true. In a 2018 study published in the Scientific Journal of Cell Research, researchers from Columbia University and the New York State Psychiatric Institute found that people aged 79 has just as many new neurons forming in the hippocampus as those who were 14. Even O's brain produced new brain cells. In the most baby boomers are perfectly capable of learning new things. You hear that, Denise Gonzalez? Okay? We're capable of learning new stuff. Number five, boomers are physically impaired. While a good number of baby boomers' knees and hips are aching, trust me on that one, and some suffer from a chronic disease, the generation isn't not as unhealthy as widely believed. In a 2020 study of 135,000 people living in England, a University College London professor found that those in their 40s and 50s were in worse physical shape than those in their 60s and early 70s were in the same age. Gen X faces more years of ill health than baby boomers. CNN reported despite the notion that baby boomers are a significantly unhealthy generation. Okay? Baby boomers are digitally illiterate. While baby boomers, like millennials, Gen Z, and Alpha, did indeed grow in an analog world, research indicates that the former are more adaptable to technology changes than we think. A 2019 survey of chief information officers of more than 4,000 information workers found that workers over the age of 55 are less likely than their millennial co-workers to find technology in the workplace stressful. Beyond that, remember that many of those blazed in the digital trailblazing Apple founder Steve Jobs and Microsoft founder Bill Gates were or are boomers. So we're more tech savvy than a lot of people give us credit for. Boomers are sociopaths. So says Bruce Gibney in his 2017 book, A Generation of Sociopaths. This reality is while baby boomers grew up in a time when mental health issues were considered taboo topics, the generation went on to make it acceptable to discuss and receive treatment of depression, anxiety, anorexia, bulimia, ADHS, PTSD, autism, and other conditions. Number eight, boomers are rich. In a 2021 Federal Reserve data shows that Gen Xers passed baby boomers in share of household net worth as the former hit their prime earning years and invested wisely in the British stock market. Those members indicate that Gen X is now wealthier than boomers. Number nine, boomers had it easy, and economists would know that the United States experienced recession during the 1969, 1970, 1973, 75, 1980, 1981, and 1982, and 1991. All these periods during the baby boom prime earning years. So for all those who are crying about how the millennial going through the financial crisis, guess what? So do we did. Okay. Number 10. For all those who think that we should go to the retire to the old folks home, boomers are done. Baby boomers are hardly riding into the sunset or to a condo in Boca La Vista. Vice President Kamala Harris, a boomer, just made it. And Robert Downey Jr., who is number one box office movie star in America. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I think I'm done. And then now we're going to park it here. Okay. So see, there are some interesting, and I repeat, interesting myths that that are out there in regards to the baby boomers. Now I'm going to go to another article. Just give me a moment. And I just want to say that I do appreciate. Okay, now I come across another article which I'm going to share. Uh, I believe it's from the Washington Post. Okay, excuse me. Okay, just bear with me for one moment. You know what? Okay, okay. Just give me a moment. Now, this article, this came from the Washington Post, and it's 5 minutes regarding baby boomers. First of all, there are 75.4 million baby boomers who are upon the ages from 51 to 69. Okay, that's something to consider. Okay, and this is similar. Baby boomers are wealthy. Okay, um, some of us are wealthy, some of us are not. Okay. Now, here's another interesting fact: baby boomers are healthier than their parents. The baby boomers have the longest life expectancy in history. The average 65-year-old can expect to live to be 84.3, nearly 3 years longer than a 65-year-old in 1980. New tests about the dangers of smoking, sitting, and obesity give boomers health advantages that their parents never had. Interesting. Now, here's another fact. Well, actually, it's another myth. If you want to look at the unpopular, the cohort, unfortunately nicknamed the Me Generation, has become just Google baby boomer selfish. My search returned 147,000 results, including headlines declaring them the worst generation ever. Detractors complain that boomers stay too long at their jobs and in their homes, not making room for the next generation, spending their children's inheritance and running up debt. Elsewhere in this issue, Jim Tankersley writes, the generation that was born into some of the strongest job growth in American history gobbled up the best, well, just left its children with some bones to pick, with bills to pay. Um, Not so fast. Baby boomers have far more generous with their money than given credit for, a benevolence that will continue after their deaths. The generation is poised to leave the largest wealth transfer in the U.S. history. Researchers at Boston College Center of Wealth and Philanthropy estimated that between 2007 and 2061, heirs will receive $36 trillion from dead relatives and 26.6 trillion will be given to charity. So that kind of dispelled the myth that we're a bunch of selfish SOBs, doesn't it? Okay. Now here's another myth, and particularly one YouTuber that loves to talk about how we're not very tech savvy. Okay. And this is number 4. Boomers are technologically challenged. It stands to reason that people who weren't exposed to personal computers under adulthood will have a harder time learning digital skills than those who have been using them since childhood. The personal computer didn't even exist until the oldest boomers were in a decade out of high school. The youngest were in their late 20s when public internet was born. In 2001, educator Mark Prensky coined the term digital immigrant for those born before 1980 who can find technology foreign. It is assumed that older adults are slower to grasp new skills that computer, digital gadgets, and social media are too complicated for them to use. So I just want to say for all those who think that we cannot learn computer skills, that's garbage. Because the biggest arguments like they make is we don't know anything about cryptocurrency. Guess what? There are millennials who have no idea what that is about. Okay. Now the final fifth myth is boomers don't have sex. Okay. On that note, boomers have also challenged the notion that our psych lives collapse as we age. A culture that glorifies youth and glamorifies top bodies has grimaced at the older actresses are sidelined as romantic leads in movies and sex lives. American couples are the butt jokes of TV shows. Society's discomfort with older adult sexuality makes Viagra and Cialis at seem almost ghoulish. But even after 48 years of summer love, people in this generation had not loved their love died. So we're going to talk it here. Okay, I apologize. I somehow removed myself from the street. But that just give you an idea, some of the myths that we as baby boomers have to deal with. Okay. Um, as always, there is good and bad apples in every group. Okay. Okay. There are some boomers which are not so great, and there are baby boomers who are great. And then there are some millennials who are excellent, and some are not so, how can I put it? Stellar. And the same thing could be said for Generation X, Generation Z, and Alpha people. Okay. So there's some more stuff, but I do want to keep this under 30 minutes. So I just want to talk before we end the stream. Starting tomorrow, we're going to have a new topic. It's going to be on Wednesdays. Um, the topic will be uh, Spicy Wednesday. So the topic, just give me a moment. Okay. So what we're going to be talking about is embarrassing confessions. So that, so okay, yes, embarrassing confessions. It will be on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, the reason for this is to have conversations that tend to be spicy. Okay. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to be a bit of a stretch for me. But you know what? At times you got to think outside the box. So I understand that not too many people are watching the stream right now, but I'm sure they'll catch it on the replay. Uh, Also, I'm gonna have a new intro for when I do these streams on Wednesdays. So I would encourage everyone to please drop by tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So we're gonna have a discussion regarding spicy topics. It's kind of like my way of trying to ease a little bit, not wretched, but salty. You know, spicy. So, and of course, next Sunday, or this Sunday, we're going to be talking about how to ruin your romantic relationship. And let me explain the meaning behind the title. What we're going to be doing is we're going to have a discussion with what are those things that can tarnish a romantic relationship. What are some of the things that can, whether it be issues of trust, whether it be infidelity, whether it be not defining what it is that you are seeking in a relationship. So we're going to have those discussions. And of course, you're all invited to attend. You're all invited to enter your comments in the chat. All that I ask is people, let's try to be respectful. Okay, there's no need to insult anybody. There is no need to outshout anybody. And let's just keep it a safe space for everyone to share their viewpoint. So let's see, we have a comment. Good evening, JS. It's good to see you. I hope I'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for Spicy Wednesday. And so we can have a discussion on Sunday regarding what are some of those things that can ruin a romantic relationship. So, of course, I'm going to close the same way I always close. People, do not let the errors of the past damage your future. And whatever we do, we must do whatever we can to minimize our contact with the mentally and intellectually challenged. Because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by their stupidity and massive insanity. That being said, this has been another short episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. And I thank you very much. And please, if you have not done so, subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification. Take care, have a good night, and peace out. Strong.